Okay, let's jump right in. So, today we will be covering um, visual identity and style, which is like probably one of my favorite things, honestly. So, let's jump into it. We will look at what components makes a strong visual identity and how to ensure consistency throughout different platforms and how to align your visuals, I should say, with your brand core message. But if you are new here and you haven't met me before, I want to just quickly introduce myself. My name is Karin Haggard, and I am a Swedish brand designer and business strategist, and I'm the founder of K Hager Design. And I have guided, I don't know, hundreds of purpose driven service providers. Yes, they are purpose driven. I love to make impactful brands. So I have created lots and lots of those. I am a doer, an athlete, and a creator. And I believe uniqueness is the magic and uh, kindness is cool. So let's drive into actual visual design stuff, and I'm going to go count through a few things here that is really important. Obviously, first impressions are really important, so having a strong visual identity will help establish cohesive and memorable presence, which then will help you to stand out and build trust and connect emotionally with your audience. So the first impression is important, not because you're vain or superficial reasons, but because it either will connect or it will not connect. So it's really important to be intentional with how you show up to make sure that you attract the right people. And then you want instant recognition. For instance, you just see this green and you know what it is. So like if you see a green straw, and having your visual identity aligned, use the same colors, use the same style, it will help people to instantly recognize you and hopefully cross platforms, or that's the intention. Then you want to make that emotional connection I was mentioning. See, aesthetics is language of emotion. I love this. That aesthetics are the language of emotion. Design and colors, they evoke feelings and they create perceptions. And I'll get a little bit deeper into that later on. But it's visuals should support your brand message. Visual identity is a complement to your brand voice, your mission, and it should reinforce your positioning. So, values without having to use your words, basically. It improves marketing impact. And by the way, I should just can somebody give me a thumbs up? I'm just talking away here and I forgot to check, but I haven't gotten any notes. So I'm assuming all is good and people can hear me. Yes. Yes. Oh, even got clapping hands. Awesome. So improves marketing impact. So having a strong visual identity will enhance the effectiveness of ads, social media, content marketing, uh, by making them more engaging and recognizable. So, a well crafted style and visual identity makes a brand feel intentional, professional, and unforgettable. Key ingredients for long term success. Yes. So, let's dive into actually, hold on. I forgot about this one. This is actually my favorite quote. I just love this quote. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And my dad told me about this quote actually. We do a very cute things, sidetrack here. Uh, I live in the US, he lives in Sweden. Twice a week we go for a walk. It's the most magical. He's a lot older, so it's even more precious. But one of those walks, he told me when he worked at Volvo, which he did for, I don't know, 20 years. developing cars, they had two sayings on the wall, and he remembered, and one was this one. So I just love this one, both for that reason and because it's a dang good quote. So you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And as I mentioned, you don't need words if you have a strong visual identity and style. You just by looking at this picture, you know what it is. You know what they stand for. They have this look and feel. Apple, obviously, if you didn't see that, but it's minimalistic. It's modern. Um, it's across the board. It does not matter where you go, you will recognize them, and they are obviously a very, very good brand example. But I use it because it's such an easy and good example. But very clearly, without words, you will know who this is and what they do and what they stand for, which is beautiful. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. Uh, and when I say visual identity, what comes to mind? Because there are key components to visual identity. Um, the first one, probably that comes to mind, I would guess, is logo. This is usually what people think about when they think they're starting a business. It's a logo, and I need to create a website. Although you have to get a lot of more information before you get to this. But creating a logo that is simple and memorable, and I say simple because simplicity communicates much easier. It doesn't get it complex, although, some logos might wanna be complex, but if you make it simple and memorable, it really gets the point across. So, logo. Then we have color palette. This is actually more important than you probably think, because each color has a meaning, and we probably all know it. It's to the point where it's subconscious. But say if you look at this color palette, it's warm, caring, down to earth. Greens are colors that stand for often freshness, growth, environmentally friendly. So if you go to the store and you see organic something, it's usually in these colors, for example. You can even think about the what is it called? The trash pickup truck, green. It's about creating, uh, helping the environment. That's another one. And then we can go into all the different colors. Each color has a different meaning. Each hue has a different meaning. So it's just like a magic place for me. But it's a really extraordinary place to really communicate what you stand for, um, and how you want to connect with somebody. Then we have typography, and there is a plethora of those too, but uh, sans serif, that's without the little feet. Here we have with the feet. Sans serif is what Apple has, for instance. Modern serif is with these little feet. That is more historical. Here we have, old historical image. Then you combine them and you create something different. So the real nuances of the fonts helps out to create your visual identity as well. Then we have images and graphics, and which makes me think about something that is I always like to point out. 80% of communication is done visual through, you know, arm chest or hand gestures, how you look and then you have things like imagery and graphics, for example. So visuals, 80%. Yeah. So from hand gestures all the way to images, whatever visual, 80% is done in by visuals. I'm repeating myself there, but I think that is extraordinary to just know that. So images should simplify communication, and it should strengthen your brand. So without, again, any words, these do have some words in them, but the visual should communicate what you stand for, what you do, and who you want to connect with. So if you have your ideal client, the rest is basically math with a little bit of an art to it. So, how do you develop a consistent visual identity or style, and why does it matter? Well, you want to have it across all touch points because it creates credibility, professionalism. It helps you to be recognized. And just like the top of this presentation, we had Starbucks. Can almost bet if you see a cup with a green straw on it, you know it's Starbucks. It's recognizable. And it's the first impression that people remember. It's really, really important. And when you build your own visual identity, creating a style guide is really helpful, by the way, to making sure that you actually stay consistent then throughout. So if you have a team member, they don't start taking different colors or using different fonts, but hey, this is our guide and this is within the boundaries that we're going to stay. That will help you to stay consistent and create that strong identity. And if you don't have it, it can turn out to look like something like this, which is basically my nightmare on the left and my heaven on the right. Clear, consistent, sharp, just, yeah, so much better. So here's my Starbucks example again, but aligning visual identity with your brand message. So, um, your visual identity needs to communicate what you stand for and what you believe in. It should evoke emotions. And then it's just for you to communicate which emotions, which brings us back to all the different things. Like we looked at that Trojan font or what it was called. It brings you back like to Colosseum. And then we looked at the green colors and the tans that brings you to like a caring feeling. So the visual need to communicate who you are. If you are a modern, if you are a legacy builder, if you're luxurious, if you're environmentally friendly. This is why it's so important to figure out who you are and what you stand for before you start picking colors and fonts. And obviously, not just what you stand for, but who it is that you want to talk to as well. Here we got an example. It's just two cars and so wildly different. And it's so wildly different, not just a car, but how everything is displayed on it. So you have this luxury brand, and then you have this earthy uh, nature brand. Car doing the same thing, but very different audience and evokes very different emotions. Very fascinating stuff, if you ask me how you can utilize that. So, how you show up is not just about looking good, but it's also about having strategic move to make a greater impact. So, in today's landscape, style and visual identity is just more than aesthetics. It's a powerful tool to communicate your brand's personality. It builds trust, it creates those emotions and the connection that I was just talking about. And when it's done intentionally, cohesively, visual identity not only attracts the right people, but establish credibility and it sets a foundation for long-term um, relationship and trust recognition. So again, it's not just about looking good. It's about creating an experience that resonates and keeps your brand top of mind. All right. And actually, I think I had a little recap too. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't. Usually I have a little recap. Um, but that brings me to questions. So maybe here's no. Yeah, no recap today, at least not in my notes. But let me know if you have any questions, anything about visual identity, um, or branding, and I'm happy to answer it, or anything regarding branding and business, honestly. But today's topic, obviously, would be awesome. If you have any questions, any questions? questions? No? I'll hold out just a little bit in case you're typing, because somebody was saying they wish there was a, and you can type in either. I think it's the question mark place. Somebody was asking to get a voice to text, and I don't think we have that in my system. But anyways, let me know if you have any questions. I know I went through quickly. This is my honestly one of my favorite places to commute, not commute, to communicate through visuals. So maybe it went fast. Either way, we got some minutes. I'll hang out if you got any questions. And if not, or if you don't feel like asking here, um, feel free to reach me at KR Design. That's our site. And then on all our social, you can find me at K Hager Design, and feel free to ask any kind of question. I'm super happy to guide you or support you.